Welcome back for another route recon. I really like to do these because not only does it help my racing, but I really feel it helps yours too, just by knowing how the route plays out. Today we're hitting Queens Highway After Party. There's a 6-lap course that you'll be hitting on the Queens Highway Road before ending on the Yorkshire KOM. It's a little tricky, so let's take a look at each segment, how to properly pace everything, and save yourself for that final after party. The Queens Highway After Party is a 17.2 kilometer long course with 259 meters of climbing with an additional 2.6 kilometer lead-in. You'll complete technically 5 laps, but going through the banner 6 times of the 3-kilometer Queens Highway loop before heading for the sting in the tail finish, the Yorkshire KOM Reverse. The laps are short but punchy, with repeated ramps, sprint efforts, and a downhill recovery that never really lets you switch off. As you can expect, the pace out of the pens will be uncomfortable, though the long -2% gradient into the loop will certainly keep everyone together. Do not chase any flyers and stay in the pack, as the snowball effect will push riders from the back of the group towards the front. All of this upon entering the looping adventure. Almost instantly, you'll be met with a false flat hitting 3% gradient. An elevation profile will not appear for this one. The pack, however, will begin to stretch as riders who did not warm up before the race are met with the first moderate effort. Immediately after this small ascent, there's a negative gradient of 6%, allowing for a brief recovery before the true test begins. When the elevation profile for the long drag of Kent Road appears, one can immediately identify the importance of tail gunning the descent and using the group's momentum to flow over the first steep gradients of 7%. Do yourself a favor and spin up your trainer while you're still on the -3% gradients. That way your power peaks on the steep section of the climb. This strategy will also allow you to come off the pedals after the first crest and utilize the draft one last time. The second portion of this climb starts steep with gradients over 5%, but quickly dials back to a draftable 3 and 2.5%. As tempting as it is, letting the front group of riders slowly pull away is ill-advised because the pace will continue to increase as you pass the Yorkshire sprint reverse line. Upon crossing the green sprint line, gradients will stay nearly 3% before a slow rolling descent of just -1. If you're expecting the descent to push you towards the front of the pack, you're sorely mistaken. There simply is not enough runway to soft pedal before hanging a sharp left towards the sprint banner, so stay on the pedal. Gradients after this turn will touch almost 6% in the middle of this kick before leveling off just before the banner. While your legs will be screaming at you to ease once you pass through the banner, coming off the pedals is just something you cannot afford. The road will continue to climb ever so slightly 2 more times until you finally make a sharp left onto the Cornwall Road, the one true descent of this course. Your descent down Cornwall Road will begin slowly with a -2% gradient. This is not steep enough of a gradient to push the pack together, meaning smart riders will have already positioned near the front of the pack so they can begin resting early. Anyone else that's lagging behind will still need to work on these minor gradients to slide into the bunch and move forward. It's not until the road slightly bends to the left when one can safely come off the pedals and really recover. When cruising at the -6% gradient, an elevation profile may appear. Don't let this fool you, because that is not something that will be tackled into the final lap. Instead, you'll take another left-hand turn, leading back to the minor 3% gradients that we led off the race with. You will need to tackle this loop 5 more times. Maintaining your focus on these loops is absolutely essential. Riders will begin popping as you progress through the race, meaning sticking in the back of the pack in the draft will lead to an increased risk of being caught behind and gapped. When it comes to flyers, you can simply ignore them early on. The intense pace at each lap banner, followed by the long descent, will make it extremely difficult for small group or riders outside of the peloton to stay away. Most of this ground will be made up as the unmarked 3% climb is embarked upon, followed by the brief recovery. Focus your time on positioning well. When it does come to the final lap, all bets are off. The pace up Kent Road will be the most intense yet, and if there are any flyers off the front, expect the group to react and make a strong effort to close that gap. Remember to stick in the draft of the main group as things really start to string out. You'll want to do everything in your power to maintain good positioning in the group as you make your way towards the banner, because the more rest you can achieve for the Yorkshire KOM Reverse, the better chance you have at a podium. Dig deep and even burn matches if you have to, because trying to chase onto the group through the descent will be an instant death sentence, which is exactly what happened to me here. Riding the -2% gradient solo will be no match for a cruising peloton. Timing on the Yorkshire KOM Reverse climb is everything. Breaking down the climb into 3 sections makes it more manageable. The first portion hits a sickening 15%. This is another reason to be in the group for this first section, so the group's momentum can help you quickly pass through the leg snapping gradient. As you pass the KOM, a manageable 5% gradient begins, followed by a draftable 3 and 2% gradient. If you've made it this far, continue staying with the pack and enjoying the draft, because your time to attack is just ahead. With 0.4 miles to go, a block of red signals when it's time to empty the tank. These 6 to 7% efforts offer marginal draft benefits, so give it everything you've got through the line. It'll be tempting to ease in the yellow section, but being only 100 meters from the finish line, you do not want to lose your rhythm. Continue pushing, as no part of the climb gets above 6% from here on out. When it comes to bike selection, aero is still king. There just simply is not enough climbing to justify a full climbing setup. With that being said, if you are confident about staying in the draft and you want to leg up on that final kick, you can go with the climbing rig. I just will not be doing that. To determine the best setup for you, check out Zwifter Bikes or Zwift Insider. In this course, you'll have 6 opportunities for power-ups. I personally like to hold my power-up just before the sprint line and use it then, so I can get the best positioning possible before the descent. The aero and draft are perfect for this. The anvil, use it on the steep portion of the descent. The burrito and ghost are perfect for an attack for the Kent Hill climb or just before the sprint banner. And the feather, use it on any of the steep gradient, preferably right before the sprint banner to help you get into the best position. Additionally, all of these can be used on the final KOM reverse as well. The only one you can't is the anvil. And of course, feel free to use your power up at any time if you're being gapped by the group. Staying with them is of utmost importance. And there you have it, your route recon for Queens Highway After Party. I know it's gonna hurt, but this one will definitely make you stronger. If there's anything that I missed, let me know down below in the comments. And if this is something you enjoyed, please consider liking the video and subscribing. Look out for my race of this video, which will be in the next 24 to 48 hours as well. As always, ride hard, ride smart, and bonk beautifully, my friends.